Okay, so we're back here with another numpy tutorial. Before I start this tutorial, I just want to show you that all these tutorials are typed up, and I have them online at this website, opensourceoptions.com. It's pretty new. There aren't a whole lot of tutorials up yet, but this is the 5th numpy tutorial, and so far all of those are up. So you can access them and see all the code here. Just so you're aware of that, but I'll put a link to this in the video description so you can see it. Let's go ahead and get started on the tutorial for this time. So as usual, we'll import numpy as np, and here we're going to go over some methods for automating array creation, because we've been typing them in manually so far, and that's not feasible for a lot of the data we'll work with. So we're going to start with numpy.empty, and this creates an empty array. So numpy.empty, and the parameter I'm going to give it, the argument I'm going to give it, is a shape tuple. So we'll create a 2x2 array. I'll hit enter, we'll print A, and you can see I've got this 2x2 array. You'll also notice it's not actually empty. What numpy is going to do is it's going to put values in this array, just initialize them with basically random values. You can see these are all very small values here. But that's what you get. We can create an array of a different size. I don't know, how many rows do we want? We'll do one with 7 rows and 4 columns. And there you go. You can see the column wrapped around here, but 7 rows, 4 columns. The other thing I can do is I can add a type to this array. And when I say type, what I mean is a data type. And we do that with the dtype command, the dtype argument or parameter. So I'm going to do dtype equals np float32. So this will produce an array of floating point values, which I've been doing already, but we'll just do this again. You can see that I have float values, and it adds this dtype onto the end of the array. I can do the same thing. We'll just get the command again. Maybe I want to do an integer this time. So I can do numpy.int, and you can see here these are all integer values, quite large integer values. Okay, so that's the basic premise for creating an empty array in numpy. Well, now, what if I want to fill that array with a certain value? Let's just make an empty float array here. np.empty 2x2 dtype np float 32. I'm having a hard time typing right now. Okay, and there's our array. Well, let's say I want to fill this with 99.99 for some reason. Maybe that's my no data value, and I want to start off with no data. Well, it's easy to do. I can do a.fill and put in my fill value. And now you see that I filled all those values with 99s. Maybe this was an integer. Let's go back up. Let's make this an integer now. So we're going to make it an np.int, print out a. There you have it. We have our integer values in there. And I want to fill that with 99.99, which is a float. What's going to happen? Let's find out. So a.fill 99.99. Am I going to get an error? We will see. No error. Let's print a. And you can see that it just printed out those values as integers, even though I put in a float value, because it's an integer array. Just going to clear the screen here. Go back to the top. We'll print out a again. And there's our a variable. Okay. Now if I fill it with, let's do a.fill, another integer. We'll just call it 22. And you can see it filled with an integer. Okay. Simple enough. So we created an array, we filled it. Another way we can create an array is, we'll call this one Z, is with numpy.zeros. And this is going to take the same arguments. We're going to give it a shape tuple. We'll make this one 3x4, and we'll give it a dtype. And we'll make this float float 32, and we'll print z. As you can see, it's an array just filled with floating point zeros. Easy enough. We can do the same thing for an integer array. We can also do the same thing. There's also an numpy.ones function. So we can go O equals numpy.ones. Make it a 3x4 also. I need a parenthesis there. And we'll make this one an integer. And if we print O, you can see we have an array of integer ones. So that makes it real easy to create those. The next thing we're going to do here gets a little more complicated. We're going to use numpy.arange. And what arange does is it's going to produce a range of values. So for example, if I do numpy.arange and give it the parameter argument of 3, let's see what we get. We get 0, 1, 2, right? So we get 3 elements, which is the 3, and they're sequential, starting at 0, 0, 1, 2. So let's do A equals numpy.arange 5. What do you think I'll get? Of course, 0 to 4. Okay. Now, what this really is the first argument here is a starting value. We can also give it a stopping value. So let's say we give it a start of 5. Let's give it a stopping value of 11. And so this should return values from 5 to 10. Okay. Sure enough, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6 values from 5 to 10. Okay. Now the other thing we can do is there's one more parameter we can add on to this, and that's the step parameter. So that's by how much it varies in the sequence. And I'll explain that here. So if we do a start of 10, we do an end of 31, and we want a step 2, that should give us all even values between 10 and 30. And there you go. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, all the way up to 30. All even values. We're stepping every 2. Okay? Now you'll be noticing this only gives us one-dimensional arrays, and in a lot of cases we might want a multi-dimensional array. Not a problem. We can tack a reshape right onto the end of arange, and I'll show you how we do that. So let's just do a simple array. We'll make it 9 elements, and we'll just label or number them sequentially. We can just throw a reshape on the end here, and let's make it a 3x3. Print A, and there's our 3x3 array that's numbered 0 to 8. The thing you have to do is just make sure that the shape, the product of the shapes of each dimension is equal to the number of elements in the array. So for example, if I were to change this, and if I made this an 8, I'm going to get an error because I couldn't reshape an array of size 8 into shape 3x3. Something to be aware of. Okay, let's try a little more complicated one. We'll do A equals numpy.arange. Let's make it 27 elements, and we'll reshape this into a 3x3x3. And there you see I have 3 layers, 3 rows, and 3 columns in this array. Okay, we'll clear this again. So that covers what we can do with reshape and how we can reshape that. The last thing I want to cover is how to import data from text. And so I have a file called importdata.csv. This file is uploaded to a GitHub repository, which you can access from the website link that I'll put in the description. But I want to read that file in. And so I can do A and then np.genfromtxt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the name of the file, importdata.csv. I'm going to give it a type. So a D type, and these are float data, equals np.float32. And then I need a delimiter. The delimiter is simply the character that separates the values, and these are separated with a comma. Okay. So this should read in that text file. Let's hit enter. And we have a problem, which is Genfromtxt. I did this wrong. It's Genfromtxt. So let's hit enter again. Looks like it ran. Now we can print A. And what this should give me, it should give me an array that has 4 rows and 10 columns. And let's take a look. So we definitely have 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. And those are the data. I can verify those are the data that were in the file. And so that is how you can bring those data in from a tabular format. So that's all we have for this video today. Thank you for watching. Once again, if you want the code, visit the website. There's a GitHub repository with all of this in it. Thank you for watching, and feel free to let me know if there are any other tutorials you would like to see, and I will try to get to them in a timely manner. Have a good day.